Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time. And as always, thank you to our feral venator of Surain. Shit, who's there again? Lurks, Charlie, and John.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
I was like, I remembered. I can step in, but you got this. You got it.
I got it. Yeah, thank you always for the support. It's very much appreciated. So I just realized that since Matt is not there, like, oh yeah, if you want to do an intro, go for it, because I have... Yeah.
Yeah, I also just realized, I was like, oh yeah, there's no intro. Okay. We have a plan for this episode. We just didn't plan like the other parts of this episode. In this episode, we're going to be discussing three very boring chapters from The Gathering Storm. We have a lovely Tuon chapter, a Matt chapter, and then the best of all, a Perrin Faile chapter. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Yeah.
Starting out with chapter 19, Gambits, which is a Tuon POV. Beslan swears fealty to Tuon and is raised to the High Blood. Yulon presents a plan of attacking the White Tower. Tuon agrees when she sees a Trollocs head brought by Tylee. Eventually, Tuon agrees with Tylee that they should ally with the Dragon Reborn. That is basically what happens in this chapter.
Yeah, it's basically seeing all of the plotting that is currently ongoing on the Ascension side. With a big Tuon POV who, despite having spent so much time with Matt, hasn't changed that much on a lot of things. You see her evolving a little bit on some points, but it's so minor compared to everything. She's still very much in the idea that, oh yes, Ascension needs to rule over all of the kingdom of that continent, and all of the Aes Sedai needs to be... Shamed. I don't remember what to say that.
Colored,
yes. And it's a bit frustrating, but there's still some interesting, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind this Tuon chapter as much as I thought I would, because there's not as much, I guess, talk of slavery, but there is. But you actually get to see Tuon being a ruler, I guess, which I think is a nice, you get to see the politics behind it. Like it's mentioned that there's going to be fighting among the blood on the continent of Shanshan, and they'll undoubtedly like raise someone to Empress over there, and then there will be two Empresses that have to duke it out, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. You can kind of, it's interesting to get a little bit more of the behind the scene for the Ascension, and also to see them dealing with the realization that they had Forsaken among them. And
right.
They had dark friends, and because it's coming up right after the betrayal from Thuros, which was both a betrayal of this agreement that they had with Ren regarding meeting, like Ren was supposed to meet Tuon, but turned out it was a fake Tuon that was Semirage, which in a way tricked both Ren and the Ascension. So they're kind of dealing with internal conflict.
Right.
We got to see Beslan coming back, who was plotting for some sort of rebellion, and that was found out by the Ascension. And Tuon, instead of just getting rid of the rebellion, decides to, in fact, raise him to the High Blood and keeping as a king. And there's some things that were said about, like, she's basically justifying the occupation of the Ascension by saying, oh no, you're keeping your freedom, you just have to agree to what we say and send us some soldier, but it's not a lot, you keep your freedom, you're still the king. And look at the numbers of other criminality has decreased with us. And to me it felt such a Mussolini made the trains run on time vibe, and I hated it.
Yeah. Going back a little bit to like the stuff back on Shanshan, I know that there were going to be Outrigger novels planned, and I think that Matt going back to Shanshan was one of them. And it just makes me really curious about like what would have happened there had Jordan lived to write them, because it would have been very interesting, I think.
Yeah, I was about to mention that, but then I remembered that it was a Sanderson book, so by then we already know that there was not going to be any plot on that side. So It's interesting that despite knowing that this thread will be kept open because Sanderson will not close that thread, it's still like try to develop it a little bit in a way. I mean, it's nice because it makes the world feel bigger in the sense that it's not just that continent we're living in. There's also this whole other continent that we've never been to where the Sentient are from.
That's not true. We've been there one time back when Avienda made a portal there.
To fuck.
And then they had their igloo sex. Yes. It was very important that one time we went there.
Which is hilarious that she basically teleported to the continent where channeling is the most dangerous thing ever.
Yes. I love it. And they managed to survive a night there.
Great for them. But yeah, it's always interesting to think about what if Jordan had not died and what if he had the time to expand on that plot. But it's also a bit weird because it feels like a lot of that plot was actually developed after his death in a way. And I'm sure it was already part of his notes.
Right. I'm sure there was something on the Outrigger novels in there. I know there wasn't that much. I know Sanderson has said that there wasn't much on the Outrigger novels, but there must have been something in there about Matt going over there.
It's just that knowing that those novels were not going to happen, I don't know. I still feel bitter by kind of the lack of advancement on the Sentient aspect.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah. I did find it hilarious that... so when Beslan swears fealty to Tuon, he's like, I didn't expect to do that today. My lady, are you sure you aren't Taviran? And Tuon's reaction is like, Taviran, these people and their foolish superstitions. Whereas the Shanshan are like the most superstitious, I can't talk today, are the most superstitious people ever. Like 10 pages ago, she saw a bird and was convinced a man was going to die. And I'm just like...
I mean, there was at least 5 omen in that chapter alone.
Right. And I'm like, what are omens if not superstitions here?
But no, it's signs of the pattern. And you're like, yeah, but Tavern are people that modify the pattern. That should mean more to you, right? But at the same time, it's interesting because in this chapter also, Sentients found out for the first time that Trollocs are real. And there's some slight remise en question, which I don't know how to translate in English, but that this slight internal question from Tuon about, oh, I completely dismissed Matt when he was talking about Trollocs. How many more things did I dismiss that I shouldn't have dismissed?
Right. No, that's... Matt and Tuon's relationship is just so bizarre.
Yeah, it's like... During the war time where they were actually in the same physical presence, it seemed like they couldn't stand one another. And now it's like the other person is the only one they can think about. And none of that feels particularly healthy. But I mean, this is a Wheel of Time.
I mean, they're healthier than Perrin and Faile, barely, but at least Perrin and Faile like each other.
Yeah, it's...
I don't know.
It's like they're liking the other despite themselves. Like they wish they could just not care about the other. And instead, like there's Tuon thinking about how she felt safer with Matt. And she's like, damn, that's odd. Why am I thinking that?
Yeah. I did think it was very badass when Ty Lee just brought in the Trollocs heads and was like, here, look at this shit.
I had completely forgotten about that. I remember Ty Lee because, I don't know, did we see her earlier in that book or not?
Yeah, she was a few chapters ago.
Yeah, when we were seeing her with Perrin. But yeah, I kind of had forgotten that the Sentients still did not believe in Trollocs, like, at that point. I'm like, how did you not meet any Trollocs before? But I'm assuming, like, I guess it's true that they mostly just try to conquer that continent from the south, which is not where Trollocs are usually.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that they haven't encountered Trollocs yet, but now that Ty Lee has, and now that Tuon has seen them, hopefully they'll take them more seriously.
Yeah, and you kind of see them switching from, oh, we need the Dragon Reborn to kneel to us, and switching away from that and more, maybe we should collaborate with him. So it's nice to see this evolution in the chapter. We see a lot of the plans to strike the White Tower, which was very interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's been 10 years since I've read these books. And I guess I just kind of saw the attack on the White Tower coming out of nowhere. Not coming out of nowhere, but like, I don't know if it's mentioned later in The Gathering Storm after this. Like, I don't recall it being mentioned all that often. It just kind of happens at the end of the book.
I mean, the thing is that the future attack of the Sentient on the White Tower had been mentioned before a few times by Egwene and her dreams, and everyone in the White Tower not believing her. So now we kind of get the confirmation that now the attack will be coming. But I'm guessing there's at least several chapters before the attack finally come. And since those books are basically huge, by the time the attack finally arrives, you're like, oh, yes, right.
Right. I think that must have been what happened, because you're right. There's all the mentions from Egwene in her dreams. There's all of this. There's all of the, what is the word I'm looking for? There's all of the preamble, I guess, to the attack. And yeah, the books are just gigantic, I guess. That's my excuse.
Yeah, and also like that chapter details like, okay, how many people are we going to bring? What type of people are we bringing? How many like Suldam, and how many those soldiers that never dies.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of them.
The blood something, I don't remember the name. Whatever. And yeah, when they finally around, you're like, oh yes, right, fuck.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that I kind of wanted to mention, but like very quickly because I kind of like it, is that when Belson is kneeling in front of Tuon and basically giving her a nose, there's this general that is kind of annoyed that he's not doing that the right way. So I did appreciate that Tuon answered, we demand that these people adopt our ways, General. It is fitting that we accept some of theirs.
Right.
Like, wow, some flexibility among the Sentient pudding.
Right. Like, he's swearing fealty to Tuon. Like, let him just do it.
Yeah. Let's not be too harsh on, oh, exactly, you should kneel to a Sentient or not.
Yeah.
And except for that, there's not much more in this chapter. It ends with Tuon thinking again about Matt and basically saying, oh, do not dig yourself into trouble deeper than you can climb to freedom. You are Prince of the Ravens now. Remember to act appropriately wherever it is you are. So obviously the next chapter is a Matt chapter.
Obviously. Yes.
Obviously. Yeah.
I guess speaking of, do we have anything else on chapter 19?
No, I mean, it was a good chapter. I thought I was going to hate it more, indeed, regarding Tuon. There's still...
Same.
It's like, it's frustrating because she's a smart woman, and it's nice to see, like, a smart general in that book. She's kind of badass. But there's always some side thoughts where you're like, this is bad. I do not want to dive too deep into what exactly you're thinking about because this is nasty.
Right. Yeah, I did see that it was a Tuon chapter and I was like, ugh. Like, I don't want to read a Tuon chapter, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't want to think a Slaver's chapter is good. But it is. So whatever. Nuanced characters. We love them.
Yes. So then we move to a Matt chapter.
Yes. So chapter 20, On a Broken Road, which is a Matt POV. Not much happens in this chapter. It's very much like a build-up chapter. Matt and the band reach a town called Hinderstap, where they plan to renew their supplies. They don't actually go into the town, though. So the fun hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
He can't stop thinking about Tuon.
Yes, it's actually very fun because I was reading your notes while doing that, and the chapter starts out with Matt having a big rant about arguing with women.
Uh-huh.
And everything that he's saying is absolute bullshit. But I have to love Talmanes on the side. That is snarky comments after snarky comments. It's, I don't know. I feel like my burns is going to be Talmanes this week.
Oh, yeah. No, Talmanes was really good in this chapter. He was very, like, his comments were like, undoubtedly, Matt. Of course, Matt. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You're the best.
It's like, I started that chapter and I just laughed because Matt started talking about how women are like mules. Wait, no, goats. Women are like goats, except every flaming one thinks she's a horse instead and a prize racing mare to boot. Do you understand me, Talmanes? Pure poetry, Matt.
Yeah. Talmanes is a great character.
Yeah.
I definitely understand why people love him.
It's a fun one. He's very snarky, and I don't know. Matt keeps going on rants about women, and I mean, basically the few things that happen in that chapter. Man has a long rant about women, how it's hard to argue with them. They finally find out where they are in the world because they kind of lost themselves for a bit. One Aes Sedai asked how far away they were to Camlin and whether they could like go faster, and basically asked for horses to go there. And Matt kind of fought with them. And then Matt is just thinking about Tuon and then being like, okay, let's get a drink at that village nearby.
Right. Like, not much happens in this chapter.
Yeah. It's kind of... Matt is a bit frustrating for me.
Matt's frustrating for everybody, I think, at this point.
Yeah. It's... there's kind of this realization on Talmanes' side that, Matt really care about Tuon, because Matt is very rude in that chapter. Like, it's a comment that Talmanes makes about how it's like Matt never likes Aes Sedai, sure, but it's surprising that he's directly rude to them in this chapter. And a lot of it is because that man is basically worried about where Tuon is, whether she's safe, whether he should have stayed with her, stuff like that. And is also a bit frustrating about the whole Prince of the Ravens thing, which apparently that guy didn't clock that if you marry an empress, suddenly you have a title and you're kind of a noble.
Right.
And he doesn't like that. And so, yeah, it's very grumpy Matt chapter.
Yeah, it's very... I mean, Sanderson admitted that he didn't write Matt very well in The Gathering Storm, and I think Towers of Midnight. Like, that was one of his bigger regrets, if I recall correctly. And I definitely see it here. Like, he's kind of regressing to, like, his earlier self. He doesn't really have that character growth that he got in the middle books.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what's my issue here, I guess. In the sense that it feels like he's basically ranting the same things that he would have ranted in book one.
Right.
Whether it's about women, whether it's about Aes Sedai, whether it's about people controlling him in a way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's not great, but the next chapter with Matt should be fun because next chapter with Matt will probably be in the strap.
Yes. I'm excited for the next Matt chapter. Actually, I need to go see what the next chapters are.
When will that happen?
Yeah, that's what... I did have my burn of the week here. Let me find it here.
Night in Inderstrap is chapter 28.
28? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that'll be a while.
So what was your burn of the week?
Oh, my burn of the week was Jolene, one of the Aes Sedai, was waiting for horses to go to Caemlyn. I believe it was Caemlyn. And was asking for like 24 horses or 30 horses or something. And Matt says, I count 2 of you, Matt said, his anger rising. That means 4 horses. I figured you'd be smart enough to do that math, Jolene. And then softer, he added, if just barely. Jolene's eyes opened wide, and Edicina's expression was painted with shock. Teslin gave him a shocked glance, seeming disappointed. To his side, Talmanes just lowered his pipe and whistled quietly. It just made me laugh. It was a stupid math joke, and it made me laugh.
Yeah, especially when you get the reasoning of Jolene. It's like, no, yeah, the math sounds okay. It just, if you had waited for the explanation before like snapping at her, it would have been better. You would have felt a little bit ridiculous there. But
yeah.
I think for my burn, I'm gonna say it's one comment that Talmanes has after realizing that Matt really cares about Tuon, and it's no, you won't go soft because you're married. You might go boring, Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very a fun character, Talmanes, but it's kind of like the comic of like the chapter, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's very much like the comic relief of the band, I think.
Yeah, that was the word I was trying to find. Is there anything we want to say, anything else we want to say about that chapter, or?
No, I don't think so. Nothing really happens in this chapter, unfortunately. It's a very slow chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like if it was a real takes discussion, there will be at least an hour just to talk about all of the sexist bullshit that Matt is saying. But I just don't have the will to dive into that, so I'm just gonna ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of sexist Matt in here, and I bet we could probably talk a little bit more about how Sanderson didn't really do Matt justice here and how Matt's regressing a little bit as a character, but I'm willing to leave it at just Matt's regressing a bit as a character, and Sanderson didn't do a great job writing Matt.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Matt was great before either. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Like that guy's. It was in a Jordan book that he spanked Jolene, right? Or was that in this book?
I believe so, yes. I think it was Night of Dreams, yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, that was already someone that wasn't particularly respecting women, so...
Yeah, Matt in general is not a great character, in my mind.
Yeah, I know that some people like to blame Sanderson for how Matt turns out, but I kind of, at the same time, I can see why Sanderson wrote him that way, in a sense that yes, he's amplifying some bad qualities that Matt had, but those bad qualities were already there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a fair take.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving into chapter 21, which this was the one that I struggled with. Like, I read the first two chapters and I was like, okay, cool, I got this. It's a Matt chapter. It's a Tuon chapter. I was fine with it. And then I saw Perrin and I was like, I don't want to read this. And then I said to myself, well, as long as it's not a Perrin and Faile chapter, because it starts with Perrin and the Wolf Dream. And I was like, well, if it's just Perrin and the Wolf Dream, it's fine. But it's not just Perrin and the Wolf Dream. It's Perrin and Faile.
Yeah, but I think... Okay, Perrin has been frustrating in this book. Because there's one chapter where it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't even remember what was the conclusion. I think the conclusion was, oh, I need to move to get back to Rand.
Yes.
And then there was another chapter that was, oh, I don't know what to do. I guess it's time for me to go back to the Wolf Dream. And now he's in the Wolf Dream and he spent like 10 minutes in there where he's basically still on the same level he was in book 4 regarding his balance between control, like controlling the wolf and being the wolf. And he's still basically a child in that dream. And that's why at some point Hopper is like, boop, get away. And it's frustrating because it's like, what are you trying to do, man? What is your goal here?
Yeah, I started reading the chapter and I was just like, why are all Perrin chapters just his internal struggle with man versus wolf? Like, I feel like I've been reading the same chapter for Perrin for the entire series.
Yeah.
Because this is book 12. This is book 12 and he's been dealing with this since book 1.
And I'm like, he couldn't, there's an internal quote there about how he couldn't continue to lose control. He had to find a balance. And I'm like, when did he lose control about the wolf again?
Yeah.
Because he lost control like once in the first book when he was with Egwene. But that's basically been it. And since then, there hasn't been much progress on that side. I mean, he learned a few abilities, but it's still very much like...
Well, I mean, I think there's been a few times where he's lost himself a little bit in the wolf, but he hasn't, like, done anything as bad as when he did in the first book, when he killed all the White Cloaks and, like, completely lost himself in the wolf. But at the same time, the dude needs to, like, get over it. It's been 2 years for him. A little over 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Go to therapy.
I mean, I'm guessing that's the reason why the White Cloaks comes back in his journey, in a sense that he kind of needs that resolution with the White Cloaks to be able to actually move on from that.
Right.
But Hopper really was like, you stupid child, and I felt that.
You related to that?
Yeah, Perrin bores me. But I actually liked Faile point of view.
I thought the Faile point of view was fine. It was fine.
It's like beyond. I still have the same problem with Faile, is that I don't like Faile when it's from Perrin's POV.
Oh, I guess we should talk a little bit about what happens in this chapter. So Hopper... Perrin goes into the wolf dream. Hopper refuses to teach him because he refuses to, like, embrace his wolf side. And Faile goes out at night and pays her respects to Roland and those who helped them escape Malden with Alejandre and a couple of other people.
Yeah, I think I would also say that when Perrin wakes up from the wolf dream, he has a short conversation with Faile where Faile starts that conversation and thinking about she's trying to get him to tell her what's going wrong, what's bothering him, because I'm guessing he's basically being grumpy around everyone for weeks and hasn't said anything, and she's trying to get him to talk because apparently communication in the Wheel of Time. And they have a little bit of a conversation about Berlane, which made me laugh because Perrin, there's this weird thing about Faile and Perrin that I don't like, that Perrin feels guilty because he smells that Faile is jealous, but Faile thinks it's healthy for her to be a little bit jealous because it shows that she cares about him. But Perrin takes that as, oh, she's mad at me, so I'm gonna step away and be like a kicked puppy. And I'm like, why are you married again?
Right.
So, yeah. There's Faile has a comment about Berlane that made me laugh so much. Because Perrin is still obsessed by that. Like, he spent one night in Berlane's tent when Faile was away, and that has been kind of the gossip of the whole camp for a while. And since whenever he was listening to that gossip, that man was feeling guiltier and guiltier. It must have felt for everyone that he had done something, because why would he felt so guilty if he hadn't done anything? So Perrin is like, oh, I swear to you, I didn't do anything. And Faile is like, bitch. It took me the better part of a year, not to mention considerable trouble, to seduce you, and then it only worked because there was a marriage involved. Berlane hasn't the skill to handle you.
Right. Like, no disrespect to Berlane, but yeah, I don't think Berlane and Perrin would work out very well.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah, no. Especially, like, Perrin is such it's kind of a traditional good person. So, like, if something had happened with Berlane and it was like infidelity, that man would have never be able to forget it. So, yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of communication in the Wheel of Time, there was one line about Perrin, or about Faile planning an argument against Perrin.
Yes.
And it just drove me up a wall, because I'm like, or you could just talk to each other. Like, Faile's methods of communication just bother the fuck out of me.
Yeah, but she was planning an argument that would pull his secrets from him.
Yes.
And I'm like, you don't have to argue to tell each other secret. Especially, like, I guess I understand it's a cultural thing, but Perrin is not from that culture.
Right.
So he doesn't understand what you're trying to do there. And if you're not communicating what you are trying to do there, that's not gonna go well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Like, it's a mismatch of cultures, and it's a refusal to see the other person's side and what works for them. It's not meeting people in the middle. It's not a good, effective communication technique. And that is such a struggle in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, because who's communicating well in the Wheel of Time, really?
Yeah, it's just so frustrating.
And I don't know, sometimes I wonder if it's also just because, I don't know, I guess it's a fantasy book series from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And 2000, where, let's be real, communication between gender wasn't great either.
Right.
Like, I mean, as a society, I feel like on the topic of communication, we have made a little bit of progress. Those books have not, because they were written quite some while ago and were based on ideas that even predate when they were written. So, yeah. What do you want to do with it? It's how it is.
Right. It is the way it is.
Yeah.
There was one line in here that says, from Faile's point of view, when she's thinking about being a captive, she had spent less than 2 months as a captive, but it had seemed like years. And I'm like, girl, it felt like years reading it too, because it was years reading it.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I saw your comment about shit. Was it only 2 months? And I was like, wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently it was only 2 months that they were held captive, but that, like, it took place over, 3 books?
Yeah.
It was exhausting.
It was a lot. Talking also about lack of communication, Perrin asked about Masema and whether they had, anyone had heard of him. So Faile was the one to kill Masema, right? Or did she order his kill?
No, she killed him.
Yeah. I forgot that. So, yeah. So there's also, she's trying to get him to tell her his secrets, but she also will never tell hers. So there's that, which I understand because Perrin would be so weirded out by the whole Masema thing. And I fully understand Faile being like, okay, no, that man we need to get rid of that man. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to take that decision. I will make that decision for you.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand Faile's need to just take care of Masema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perrin would have never done anything about that.
No. Well, Perrin's job was supposed to be to capture Masema and take him to Rand, and Faile was like, no, we just need to kill the dude. And I'm like, I get that. Good on you.
Yeah. Which actually kind of it feels so because the rest of the chapter is mostly Faile meeting with Aliandre and a few others that were also captive in the captured by the shadow, and they have this mourning thing about the few brotherless Aiel that's protecting them as Gaishan. And it's interesting because the Faile POV reminds us that, oh no, those people were mostly killed by them. Like, sure, Perrin killed the guy that was protecting Faile, but another person killed, one of the women killed the Aiel that was protecting her, and this kind of thing. So it's like they are very responsible for the deaths of those men, and still they feel the need to have something to commemorate them.
Right.
Because it's like, it was a sad moment, it was a necessary moment. It's the necessity of it all doesn't remove the sadness of it all. And yeah, I don't know, it was an interesting moment in my opinion. It's very much like war sucks, and even if there's honorable people in different camps, and sometimes war means
there's good people on both sides.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that because I hate both sidism, but
know.
it's kind of what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the funeral, or the makeshift funeral, was kind of nice, but it felt a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it meant to humanize Faile? It felt like it could have been cut, and I would have been fine with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I feel like I'm reaching a point where a lot of those book characters don't make sense to me anymore. And maybe it's just because I haven't spent that much time diving into, I can't say that I have a podcast, but except for reread, I haven't reread previous book in a while. I don't intend to. This is a reread that I'm doing because of the podcast. And and I don't know, sometimes I'm like, all of those people are a bit weird to me and I don't understand them.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. It is a little jarring going into the reread with the Gathering Storm and not having the Knife of Dreams stuff going on and not knowing exactly what happened previously, or not having it fresh on your mind.
Yeah, but even when, like, for example, there was a moment with Ben and Chiad, and I had completely forgotten that because of how Goal saved them, now the two of them are Gaetians to Goal.
Right.
And this is like, to Ben and Chiad, this is the most hilarious thing ever, because now they have to serve Goal, and they know that Goal absolutely hates that they have to, but it's a cultural thing, so they have to serve their 1 year and 1 day or whatever, how long it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was funny.
It's hilarious, but those books are weird, man.
I mean, the Aiel are just fucking weird.
Yes, but it's not even... The Senshin were weird, like 2 chapters ago. Matt was a little bit weird a chapter ago. Now it's the Aiel being weird and Perrin being annoying. And I'm like, is there anyone that I actually like in those books? And yes, I know, I remember Egwene. I'm gonna like her.
We did just come off of some Egwene chapters, so like there are some good characters in the Wheel of Time.
And also, like, we were not able to record the Gathering Storm chapter since like November, I think.
Right. It's been a few months.
So it's been a few months since coming back into that book, and I kind of had forgotten what it was like reading them. I mean, I still enjoy my time. It just
yes.
I feel like those books, if they were coming up today, would not would generate such very different answers and questions compared to when they came out. I don't know.
Oh, 100%.
Society has changed so much in the past. I mean, that book's how old is The Gathering Storm? Like
2009.
16 years. Yeah, I mean, it's a Glee area.
Yeah. It came out during Glee, and that says, everything you need to know.
Wait, was Glee starting in 2009 or 2009 or 2010?
When did Glee come out?
I feel like I was in high school.
May 19th, 2009, and this book came out on October 27th, 2009.
Yeah, I guess it was Glee area. It's insane thinking by how much society has changed since then. Anyway, I don't know if you have anything else to say about Faile POV. We do get back to Perrin's POV for a page, and it was basically about how he has to make decision when he's been avoiding making decision for a while. And I think it summarizes everything that I dislike about Perrin, this inability to make a decision. And now he has talked about how his decision is to actually make decision.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's wild. It is wild to me how Perrin just cannot make a fucking decision.
Honestly, those 3 chapters are 100% the reason why I definitely think we don't need 14 seasons of The Wheel of Time,
right,
in the TV show, because that chapter, it's. I mean, I like maybe the beginning with the Wolf Dream would take a little bit of time, but the rest is like 2 minutes of screen time or something like that.
And the Matt chapter is 20 seconds of screen time.
Yeah.
The Tuon chapter is good. The Tuon chapter can stay.
The Tuon chapter would be interesting, yeah. But like, I think it's also the issue with that book especially. It's a bit more obvious to me because we keep having chapters. Like, I don't think we have a lot of chapters where it's the same POV 2 chapters in a row.
Yeah.
And a lot of those chapters are fairly small. Which means we spend a lot of time alternating between POV, and at the beginning of each POV, we have a lot of internal reflection of what's going on and this kind of thing, which feels like a lot of the book is internal reflection and summaries.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it's a problem when you have a bunch of like so many different POV in a book. I guess maybe if like you would have longer section with each of those characters. Like, for example, the chapters we've got from Perrin so far, that could have been a single chapter.
Right.
Because the first one, it was, what was he complaining about? Oh, yes, what he needs to do. It was about...
he was like fixing a wagon, and then Tam came up to him, and he had a talk with Tam.
He was trying to decide what to do with all of the refugee and where to go. And like the decision at the end of it was, oh, I need to find Rand.
Mm-hmm.
the decision after the second chapter was, oh, I need to get back to the dream. The decision after the third chapter is, oh, I need to make decisions. I'm like, do we need 3 chapters?
Yeah. Perrin is definitely a hard character for me. A difficult character for me to read sometimes.
I'm so curious how it's going to be adapted as a role in the TV show, because there's definitely need some like pacing things to do with him.
Yes. They were fine chapters. Like the Tuon chapter was the best in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is bizarre for me to say.
But yeah. I mean, it's definitely, if it wasn't for the podcast, those last 2 chapters would have been chapters that would have quickly read in order to move to other more interesting chapters.
Yes. I would not have discussed them at all.
Yeah. So thank God we're doing 3 chapters per episode and not like 1 or 2 chapters, because what would we have said?
What would we talk about?
Yeah.
Next we have a Rand chapter followed by a Cadsuane chapter and then a Gawain chapter. So 2 good chapters and then a Gawain chapter.
Oh, the Cadsuane chapter is very short.
The Gawain chapter is short?
No, the Cadsuane.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that was it for this episode, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of The Queers of Time. We've been James and Camille. Obviously, Matt and Kat were not here today, unfortunately. But we hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find us on social medias. We still post stuff on social medias, but the main thing for discussion is going to be on Twitter, or is not on Twitter. No,
on Discord.
It's going to be on our Discord. Please join us on our Discord. And if you can, we would love your support on Patreon. That's it.
Yeah.
You can get early access to episodes. Yep.
Sounds about right.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.